So far, what we have learned, right? We have learned about how we can create a simple request using get, post, put, delete, how the parameters, then body, right? The body part of post request, right? How we set up this JSON over here, then how we can write the validation function, right? Which is available in inbuilt over here. So what is
Hmm.
snippet? Snippet is a like a predefined code, right? Predefined
Hmm.
programming code that we have. It is easy to use. So we have used from over here, and we have tried to validate this part. So far we have learned these things, right? But now I want to show you something. Have you observed, like in all the requests you see, get request, we have this part common, right? This part is our
Hmm.
common, right? For this request also we have this part is common, right?
Right.
Right? So instead of writing, and now suppose if I have 100 such requests, right, and my this part gets changed. Let's suppose a company decided instead of request response dot in, I we need to change it to the request response http dot in, something or anything they wants to change, right? So what will
Hmm.
happen? Let's suppose if company decide instead of this URL, right, we need to change because our domain is near to expire and we need to change it to one, right? So what will
Hmm.
happen? So what is your approach to modify all these requests? So what you normally do, you go over here, you just change it over here and save it, right? You go over
Hmm.
here, change it and save it. You go over here, change it and save it. So that is the one thing, right, which is very time consuming. You got my point? And for
Hmm.
that reason, what we have environment variable, right? So if I select
Hmm.
this portion, you see it's set as a variable, and if I
Hmm.
click on set as a variable, right, if I just says set as a new variable, I'm just clicking on set as a new variable. Okay, so my URL, okay, this is my variable. Okay, and what is the scope?
Hmm.
Now scope we can make it different way, right? Scope means you understand, right, where the territory, right? So if you just say the
Hmm.
scope of my this variable will be global. When we define
Okay.
as a
Hmm.
global, that means we can access everywhere, right? But when we
Hmm. Hmm.
define
Hmm.
like there are different type of scope, I will show you what are the different scope. But let as of now, let's we keep it as a active environment or collections or different ways. So I am just giving it a global, okay, and set as a variable.
Okay.
So you see, as soon as I will set as a variable, then my URL come over here, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
My URL come over here, and I can save it, right? Now this is my approach. See, this is my approach. Now whatever new request I will create, I will have this one over here. Okay. Now what will happen? See, this is what I did, right? Now what will happen? Over here, I also put this one. Okay. Now over here
Hmm.
also I am putting this one. Are you understanding like what is happening over here? Why we
Yeah.
use,
You.
yeah, why we use such variables, right? Why we can just keep it, because they are also representing the same thing. Why we, but this is what will happen, the real time scenario. Sometimes they says, okay, we need to change the URL, we need to change this one, we need to change that one. So if you have 100 requests, right, so you cannot
Hmm.
go
Hmm.
one by one and modify. Now what will happen? See, this is my URL. If I mouse over, it will show me this is my value. You see, this is, and scope is global. So this is my global variable. Okay. So if somebody
Okay.
says, okay, do you know anything about about variable in a Postman? You can just say, yes, I know how to create a variable. Like you can just select the value, right, and you can just click on set a variable, and you can also create a variable, or you can then, this is the one way, like, so this is how you can create a variable. So now let's we talk about how we can modify this one. So if I go over here, sleeping, or I think global just for global, I will just says for collection, right? If I go to the collection, I select this one, right? If I go to collection and I select the collection, and if I go to the variable, right over here, I cannot see the that global variable I have set up. So over here,
Hmm.
whatever the variable you have set up for this collection, you can only see that part. Okay. So this is the one of
Okay.
the things, right? Now suppose you the global variable you want to see, right? You want to see the global variable in a Postman. So what you can do? Just give me 1 minute.
Hmm.
So I think the global variable is always be displayed. Just forgot. Okay. But I will just tell you. So I think the global variable you can only see if you mouse over on this one, you can only see the global variable. You see
Hmm.
over here. Now
Hmm.
let's we see how we can update this global variable. Okay, give me 1 minute. From here. Yeah, you see, if you click on this icon, you see on top, environment quick lookup.
Hmm. Quick
If you
look.
click on this one, you can see all the variables. The variable which is related with the environment and the variable are
Hmm.
global, right? Now suppose as the company requirement this is they have changed this URL from this to this, right? So what is now instead of going on 100 requests, right? What you can do, you can click over here, right? You can just click on this edit, right?
Hmm.
And you can just modify this one, you see. So now if I just say this one done, right? So my all
Hmm.
the URL are updated now. So if now I mouse over, you see my initial value
Okay.
was this one, but my current value
Hmm.
is new URL, right? So
Hmm.
now whatever the new URL, it will take up as a part of the my get request. You got my point? So
Right.
this is the way, see, this is the main requirement, right? Why you use this one. So I'm just again changing, but this is the one of the scenario why people use the
Hmm.
variables, right? To save their time. If they have
Okay.
something to update on multiple places, so to just
Uh-huh.
make sure they should not invest much time, they use this one.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Now let's we talk about the different variables we have in a. We'll just say you understanding the concept, right? Just understand the concept. This is the concept. Okay. Now,
Okay.
how to create a variable, you also know, right? Like you can right click and just click create a variable. Now we have different variables, right? We have different variables in our, I will just say when you work with the Postman. Okay. So
Hmm.
first one is global variable. Right? So global variable, you understand, right? It is this can be used everywhere in all request collection environment, right? So this is the use of global variable. Globally means it is available throughout the
Hmm.
use, right? Then we have one collection variable. What is collection? Sneha, Sneha, what is collection?
Uh, no idea. Like.
So I think I explained the collection in a and when we talk about the EPA, right? So let me tell you once again. The collection
Hmm.
is nothing, right? Is the set of API we have, right? So over here, if you see, this is on a top Snehal training, that is one collection, right? And in that
Hmm.
collection, we have different APIs, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Haha.
it's a kind of folder, right? Just a folder. Why we use
Hmm.
collection? Because suppose if I need to run this for API together, right? If I want to run one by one, I can come and I can send, I can come and I can send. But if I want to run this
Right.
all the API together, I can use run collection, right?
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. So this is the why this is called collection. Now we can
Hmm.
also create a variable, right, which is only accessible in a collection only. So let's suppose if I'm working on one company, I have multiple collection, right? But I want to make sure, like sometimes we get confused, right? What should we keep as a variable name? So variable name I want to be a part of only this collection. So I can give as a collection variable, right? So this can be used only for collections request, right? So if I define the variable as a collection variable, right, it can be only
Hmm.
used for that collection only. Okay. So whatever the
Okay.
request we have in that collection, that can be used by that one. Environment variables, right? Environment. So why we have different environments, Snehal?
Uh, to develop as well as test the software.
Can you please be more descriptive? Like
Like it has
first of
four
all, first
stages.
of all, first of all, what kind of environment one company can have? Like what kind of different for environment mostly company will have?
What type of?
For we have four type of environment, right? Most of the time, like what are those four type of environment we have?
First is where the environment setup is created by cloud engineers or DevOps, and then the software is deployed to the QA team, um, where where they mail to the concerned members of the software development team, and then they set up a UAT meeting for user
You are, I'm
acceptance.
not sure like how you are getting, but you are speaking totally wrong, like not even 10% is correct, right? So the answer should be, we have four environment. First, the developer work, that is called dev environment. Then QA work called QA environment. Then we have staging or pre-prod environment where the UAT demo can be done. Then we have production environment. And
Hmm.
all those environment are handled by DevOps engineer. Can you repeat that
Right.
one?
Yeah, first we have DevOps environment.
Not DevOps.
Then
I even not even speak the DevOps word. DevOps environment. There is no DevOps environment. DevOps is an engineer, like a QA engineer. So DevOps is not an environment. Development environment. Dev
uh,
environment.
yes, sorry. First, Dev environment, development environment. Then the QA environment. Then staging or pre-production environment, and then last a deployment.
What is deployment? Last is production environment. Deployment is a one process.
Okay.
Deployment is not an environment, is a process to put the stuff from this environment to that environment. We are talking about environment. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
we have four kind of environment. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So so if we create a variable which is specific to environment, this can be used for that environment only. Now let me just show you that things, right? Okay. First we have dev or development environment. Okay. Then we have QA or then we have staging.
Staging
Stagnate.
and
No, that no kind of the stag is not a word. Staging environment.
staging
Yeah.
or pre-production
Pre-production environment. Then we have prod environment.
production.
Or people also suggest. So Now you understand, right? Now you understand
Hmm.
this for environment. So I think I asked this question to you at least 6 times, right? But you, every time you give the wrong answer, that is not good. You got my point. Just
Hmm.
try to understand. Now over here, developer work, right? So suppose the URL of this one, right? Dev dot. This is the URL. This is the URL. What who will work
Yeah.
over here? Developer. Right? Over here, QA. So www.qa.com.
QA.com.
So see, each environment will have a different URL, right?
Hmm.
Then over here, then over here, I will just create or create
www.staging. Hmm.
www.staging.
Staging.com.
Then the last we have end client www.production. So what is happening over here? For this different environment, right? We have different kind of users. You got my point? For different environments, we have different kind of users who gonna use this one. Now suppose how we can differentiate this one, right? Because in a agile, right? In a agile, people work continuous. You got my point? In a agile,
What is
people,
agile? Means
yeah, I will tell you later on what is agile, but
okay.
just understand this term, right? In a
Hmm.
agile, people works continuous. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So if developer is working continuously, let's suppose developer working some, so why we cannot give this URL to end user, right? Because developer are working continuously. They are putting the database down. They are making some changes in their code file, right? So we cannot give this URL to end user to work or to
Okay.
access. So for
Hmm.
that reason, we have different URL, right? Now
URL.
suppose
Hmm.
I want to test the same scenario, right? I want to test this same scenario in a Postman, right? So now suppose
Hmm.
in each and every environment we have one setup, right? So we have one collection
Hmm.
which has all the request post, then put,
Yes. Okay.
get, delete,
Delete.
right? So each environment we have this collection, right? Now for each collection, right, you see this part will be different, right? For production
Yeah.
it will be www.production.com. For
Hmm.
development this will be www.development.com, and like this, right? So for that
Right.
one, what we can do, we can create a different because I do not want to create this for time. You got my point? I do not want to like
Hmm.
make like this. See this, if you do, let me, right? So this is staging, right? Now if I copy this
Hmm.
collection, let me see if we can copy and paste. Okay, duplicate collection, right? I do not want to do this one, because if you do this one, right, we are just utilizing the memory in a wrong way, right? I can also do like I can create a for
You
production,
can create a acha
for,
production.
yeah,
Huh.
like this way, right? I can production development
Hmm.
and, but this is the wrong way, right? That does not make sense to use the same things again and again. So for that one
Okay.
we have shortcut. So what I will do, I do not want this one, right? So let me delete this one. Okay, I'm going to delete this one. I want to keep
Hmm.
only this one, but I want it to be work in a different way. So let me just this one, and I will just say this is my collection, right? This is my collection, and I want this collection only run in a for environment. Okay. So now
Hmm.
there is one like the facility that Postman give, right, to create an environment. So you need to click on this new. You see, if you click on this new, you will see this option create new. So I will just say create new
Hmm.
environment, right?
Environment.
Okay. So first of all, what is the first environment we have?
And development.
Okay. So I will just say development environment. Okay. Now in a development environment, it will ask us, right, if do you want to create a variable. So I will just say yes, URL. Okay. And what is the value of URL? www.development.com. Okay, this is my URL. Okay,
Hmm.
you got my point. Now what I will do,
Yeah.
I will just save it. Let's see, I am gonna save it. Right now, again, I will go to new environment. What is the next environment we have after development?
QA testing environment.
Okay, QA testing environment. Okay, I'm just keeping a QA environment. Okay, and then
Hmm.
again in a QA environment we have URL. Okay, and over here what we can just do www.qa.com, right? And we're gonna
Hmm.
save it. Then what we will have?
Again, new environment.
Why again David environment?
Huh?
What is the third environment we have?
Uh, uh, Staging or pre-production.
Okay, pre-production. This one also we have URL because all the environment we have different URL. Right?
Hmm.
Pre-prod. Right? Then the last we have
Production.
production. We have URL. So now the same URL, right? Same URL variable. This
Hmm.
is the variable name always remains same, right? So, but it has different values. Okay. Now
Right.
this is the right. Now if I come over here, right? If I come over here, and I go to my request, right? And if I just change this one instead of URL, I will just change this one as a URL. Okay, only URL, and just save it. If I mouse over on this one, it says unreasonable variables because it is not finding the variable. Why? Can you tell me the reason? Make sure variable is defined or enabled in active environment, collection or global. So first of all, I will just say active environment, right? So this is the active environment. I can see it over here, right? So if I click on this one, in staging we don't have that one, right? But if I click on this one, right, and you see I can see development, pre-prod,
Hmm.
production, and QA environment. The staging is the one that I created when I was practicing, right? So if I select development
Okay.
environment, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
select the development environment and if you mouse over, it will not give me the error. It says URL in development. See the value, see, observe the value www.development.com. Now, if I change, let's suppose development has done their API testing, right? The unit testing. Now they give the QA. So if we just click on this one, right? QA environment, then the URL, if I mouse over, you see the value got
QA.
changed
Hmm.
www.qa.com and just says scope is for QA
Environment.
environment only. Then pre-prod, you see it just getting updated and just pre-prod, you see www.preprod.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is
Mm-hmm.
how we can create an environment and this is how you can play with the environment. Okay. This is the way you should do. Like this is the way the Postman allow you to configure your request. Okay. In a different way.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the concept
Hmm.
that I want to
Mhm.
explain you today. Okay. So
ओके
yeah.
और
Yeah. Tell me.
फिर वो पोस्ट में भी अपने आप ही आ जाएगा सारे एनवायरनमेंट्स.
एग्जैक्टली सी यहाँ पे हमारा अभी माई यूआरएल है, राइट? ये अपना वेरिएबल नेम
हम्म.
चेंज है, देखो ये अपना जो बनाया था. बट इफ यू कैन मेक दिस वन, राइट, इफ यू कैन कॉपी दिस वन, अपने को फिर ये कॉपी करना है. नाउ वी नीड टू यूज दिस वन, राइट? तो ये दिस विल कम ऑन एवरीवेयर, राइट? अभी देखो मैं
ओके.
इसको माउस होल्ड करूंगा तो देखा प्री प्रोड आ गया, बिकॉज यहाँ पे प्री प्रोड
हाँ.
इन्वायरमेंट सेटअप है. अगर मैं यहाँ पे प्रोडक्शन करूंगा, यहाँ पे क्यूए करूंगा, इफ आई चेंज इट टू क्यूए, over here also it come QA, on get
क्यूए.
also it is QA, but we need to use this
ओके.
variable, right? So this is
ओके.
how we
माय
can,
यूआरएल.
yeah, this is how we can use the variables. That is very much important. Like this bracket
हम्म.
and then name of the variable and then closing bracket and this one. Okay. So
ओके.
today's assignment, right? I want to give you, Snehal, first of all, try to implement all those test requests. Okay.
ओके.
Try to make this one like this way. Put your own validation messages, right? Then set up a
हम्म.
different environment, set up a different like this the URL. As of now, just try it with the URL and set up this one. Okay,
हम्म.
do like this way, complete, right? then we can
Hmm.
execute in a different way. Then in the next time you need to give me a quick demo, right? You need to give me a demo of these things. Okay, so just make sure you understand the concept. I again brought down for you different environment, right? You need to
Hmm.
always,
Hmm.
because see, this is how most of the IT companies work, right? This is the like a common structure of IT companies. They will have the environment like this. So this is also we will this will be also useful when we do the web automation testing, right? Over there also we need a URL, right? So this is how different environment we have different URL. So just understand how we use the variables, right? And how we can get these variables. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any question?
या अगर किसी ने पूछा कि व्हाट इज वेरिएबल बट उसको वर्ड्स में फिर उसको कैसे लाइक डिफाइन करना है.
See, variable it's nothing, right? It's a like like we have registration form, right? हमारे पास
हम्म.
registration form होता है, तो वहाँ पे होता है name. तो name के सामने
हम्म.
हम हमारा नाम लिखते हैं. तो whatever
हाँ.
you are entering, right, your name that will become variable value, and name
ओके.
is the variable. You got my point?
हम्म. हम्म.
Variable
हम्म.
it's a combination of name and storing the data, right?
ओके.
एज क्या है? एज एक वेरिएबल है, उसमें हम डिफरेंट
हम्म.
डिफरेंट वैल्यू स्टोर कर सकते हैं. आपकी एज स्टोर कर सकते हैं, मेरी एज स्टोर कर सकते हैं. We can store the age of our daughter, right? So this is like the age will get stored, that is called variable, right? So
ओके.
variable
हम्म.
is nothing but to just store the values. We use the variable name and variable value, right? So over here,
हम्म.
if you see over here, if I click on this one, environment lookup, the my URL is the variable name, and
हम्म.
this is a variable value, right? This is
हम्म.
initial value, and this is current value. The
Yes.
same way, variable name, and this is initial value, and this is current value. Okay? So
हम्म.
this is how the variable is used to work. Okay, variable
हम्म.
is nothing to just store the data, but when we have the Java programming sessions, right, you will learn more about variables. But it's very basic concept, right? We have everywhere. Like if you fill up the offline registration form, right, or online
हम्म.
registration form, they ask you the information. So they store those
हम्म.
information in a variable.
ओके. और मुझे और एक चीज पूछनी थी, जो HTTP रिस्पॉन्स एंड कोड है वो मुझे अभी तक उतना क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है, लाइक कंप्लीटली क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है, तो कैन यू वंस अगेन एक्सप्लेन इट.
HTTP response code, yeah, request or
हाँ.
response.
रिस्पॉन्स रिक्वेस्ट एंड रिस्पॉन्स.
See, see, see. Response request, I explain you, right? The request we do
हाँ.
everywhere, right? Let's suppose I am requesting you to uh, uh, again I will take the food example, right? Because that is the easiest way. I
हम्म.
requesting to give me the pizza, right? So that is my
हम्म.
request. Whatever
हम्म.
whatever I am getting from the pizza boy, that is my response, right?
रिस्पॉन्स.
Yeah. So this is called request response. Now what will happening over here, right? So so what is happening over here? We have client, right? We have server.
हम्म.
So now client is asking for, like, I want to open www.google.com, right?
हम्म.
See, this is basic, very basic. So if I come over here, if I open my this one, right? This is my client, right? This is my client browser. If I come over and just says www.google.com, right? This is
हम्म.
my request. As soon as I will hit my, now whatever this is happening, it is checking on server and it is giving the response. You see, so this is my
हम्म.
response, right? If I right click and I go to inspect, right? If I right click and go to the inspect, or just network, I think, or applications. So over here, let me refresh this one once again. This is key and value are sending to me. So this is the response we got. You see, everything cookie and everything will be stored over here. But this is some advanced concept. I will explain you later. But this is the simplest example, right? You send something,
Mhm.
you got something. That is request response.
Okay.
Now, how this is happening? This is happening via HTTP protocol. Okay, HTTP and
Hmm.
HTTPS, right? So what is HTTP and what is HTTPS? I will explain you in a next session. But I want to
Okay.
be part of the your self learning. What is HTTP and what is HTTPS? Okay. Now,
Okay.
what is happening? The response code, right? What is response code? Now, when they talk to each other, right? When the client send a request, right, and the server send a response to the client, so each and every HTTP response will have some code. Code means nothing but it's a, like I will just say is the secret talk, right?
Hmm.
Secret talk. If you want to do the secret talk, right? So we normally have
Hmm.
some coding, right? When
Hmm.
even though in our, like, we will ask our friend, okay, when I just says 1 2 3, you should understand like this way, because we do not want to disclose our secret, right? So this is one kind of that things they will use as a programming way. And why we use as a QA tester, right? We used to validate, right? If 200 is coming, that means you should validate that part, right?
Hmm.
So that is a response code, request and response. Like if you give the, you ask for the pizza, right? So he will give you the pizza, but he will also give you the bill, right? This is your
Okay.
pizza bill. So that is a response code, right?
Mhm.
This is your pizza bill, right? So that is the
Okay.
way it's work. Everything is request response. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So now it is
Okay.
bit clear, right? See,
Hmm.
sometimes some concept you no need to overthink. It's a basic request and response,
Mhm.
right? Let's suppose in normal word, we propose a girl and she give what response, negative response or positive response. So that is also
Hmm.
part of request response, right? So everything
Right.
in our real life also we have many requests, many response, right? So if it is a positive
Hmm.
response, then it's good 200. If it is a negative response, it could be the 400, 500 or anything.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect,
Hmm.
perfect. Anything else that you have confusion?
No, as of now, no.
Okay, perfect. So let's we keep these things as of now, and I will send you the
Mhm.
assignment, and you need to do like all those things before we meet up in the next session. Okay,
Okay.
perfect.